Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw tips and tricks, and this is part 2 of cutting out a lake bed that is bigger than your laser bed. Her laser bed evidently is 12 by 24. So our whole object that she wants to cover is 57 by 46. So I just equally divided the parts into pieces of, I'm guessing she's going to use plywood. So there are 12 equal parts, but only 6 of them are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are really being used. These will just be blank pieces of wood that you're going to do probably your engraving on, like what lake it is or whatever. So you've got a lot of free space. A couple things looking at it. The lake is real close to this corner. So what I would do, I'd set my nudge factor on like a 1/4 inch. I've got the lake all grouped together. I'm just going to move it down a little bit and maybe even make it over. So that way you've got a lot more wood and it's freeing up these spots. So to make it simpler for me, I'm going to change my nudge factor to like 60 inches. And I'm going to take that block out of the way, that block out of the way. Just get the blocks out of the way we don't need. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because you're going to get the laser to cut each one of these squares. Instead of, you're going to put this corner to the top corner, but if you let the laser cut, instead of pre-cutting some plywood, let the laser cut your outline. So we've got 6 squares, so we need 6 copies. So I'm going to hit the plus sign and move it over, plus sign and move it over. There's 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 6 copies of our map. I'm just going to take the first one and take the virtual segment delete key and delete all that. There's our first piece of wood. The second one, we're going to delete that and all of these in this line. And what's happening, your cut line will cut right to this. And this is going to be a pretty good trick to get all this back in. You're going to have a backer board to glue these other pieces back on, and I don't know if they're going to color them different colors of the lake, or I can't imagine multiple layers. I would think you would just, well, let's for instance take it and let's make this one outer one blue, and then on both sides make it a blue, and maybe you're going to paint it. And this will be a little clue right here if we've got something touching, like we have a line that's over. So you'd want to fix that, kind of at the start and get that out of there because you don't want to have that bad cut. And I don't want to ungroup it together. So that's the stuff you need to look at in part 1. And then just do the same. So we've got these 2 done. So we're going to take the virtual segment delete key and delete those 2. I didn't get all the lake, so we're going to make sure we get all the lake. Let me zoom in here. A little bitty piece. You know what? It might be part of a curve. Yep, so let's go to Object, Group, and ungroup it. It should still cut it. There we go. So we've got those pieces. We're going to cut these pieces. And the same thing there. So you've got those 3 pieces. Now we need this piece, so we're going to take our virtual segment delete. And there's probably a way you could do this with, whenever you see that something is grouped together. So we need to go to Object, Group, and ungroup it whenever you see those balls. And then make sure you're going to be cutting it out, so it doesn't really matter. Make sure you get all this. And there's some more of those lines that need to be corrected. This line is just way too close, and it's it's actually crossing over. So you need to look at that. Then we just need to do a couple more. We've done that one, so we'll go through here and swipe through there, swipe through there. And that's evidently I probably could have ungrouped it all at one time. See, that's even part of the whole thing. Now we can take our virtual segment link key and even zoom in, even though you don't have to do this because it doesn't matter if it cuts. So that outer line or the bottom line is really needs to be fixed before you do this. And then we just have one more. And go ahead and get rid of all that garbage that's up there. And then you need to go back and actually group all these guys back together. So, and see what I'm saying is when it cuts, it's going to cut around it and through this, so it's going to match up with the next one. So let's Control G and group that. Control G and group that. And remember that I did not move them individually. So I'm going to be able to nudge them right back, even though it doesn't matter. So I can nudge that one over, 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 over. So there's what your map is going to look like put together. Now this is going to be a good trick. I'd really like to see a picture of it when you're done. But this would work, and because these are grouped, let's move this thing over and then just take these individual parts and put them up in your laser bed right there and have it cut. Now, we'll not cut this outer edge because it's going to be on your rulers. You know, it might even be safe if you have wood that's 12 inches, go ahead and cut that outer edge. And then that way, in case your laser is not homed perfectly on that edge, it'll still cut it because that section is 11.5. So what you could do is set your nudge factor on like 0.2 and just take this and go down and over. Have it cut the whole thing. Then when you cut that one, and it would really be smart to have the laser cut all these. And just remember to nudge them both over so they're away from that edge so the laser will cut it. Now on this one, you don't have to cut it. You don't have to cut that one. You don't have to cut that one or that one. Just cut this one 6 or how many other times there are. So you'll have that many blank panels, and then just remember to do each one and nudge it down and over. Now, when you cut this, it's going to fall apart. So before you pick it up, I would put blue tape on it and pick it up and then flip it over, put blue tape on the back and sand your whole board with the orbital sander. Now, once again, there's that line that needs to be totally fixed before you ever start doing this. I should have caught that in the first video. That should work. You're going to have to put it on a backer board and glue it down in something this big. I don't know where you're going to get a sheet of wood. Well, you could cut a 1/2-inch piece of plywood, that dimension, and glue it down and use weights. I'd be real curious if what they're gonna do, if they're gonna cut this out and just piece it back together. Surely something this big you couldn't layer. You'd have to do this multiple times, and I don't think the job would be worth it for the customer. Anyway, I hope that made a little bit of sense, and thank you for watching.